So I'll go through how we went through our transition to the Hill RBF and where we stand today, and some of our patient database which we've studied with the Hill RBF. These are my financial disclosures. So two major things that changed our cataract practice in the last decade, and both of them related to what Haag-Streit does. So 10 years back, we were doing more and more premium IOLs, and we were using the immersion ultrasonic biometry with the autokeratometers. And we would get about 85% patients within one diopter of emetropia, just about 50% within the plus minus 0.5. And you can see how things have changed over the years. Now we talk about the 90%. So our percentage of premium IOLs, because we were probably not doing optical biometry at that time, Torics were just 2 to 3%, and multifocals were maybe just 3 to 4%. Most of the times we were not confident of getting accurate results, and that probably translated to this lack of confidence. So optical biometry had been around for about 5-6 years when we started thinking of doing that, but colleagues who were using biometers were not doing it routinely for every patient, and those devices at that time were probably not getting in through, especially in Indian cataracts where we have more opaque cataracts. More often we have the intumescent and the advanced cataracts. We were probably not getting that many measurements, and they were using it selectively for their patients with premium IOLs probably, and still most relied on ultrasonic immersion biometry. So somewhere in 2011, I had been wanting to get optical biometer for many years, and listening to Dr. Hill and comparing to several other biometers available at the time, we went with the Lenstar. We wanted to improve our results with Toric IOLs and the multifocal IOLs. We got the Lenstar. Early days were good. We started measuring all eyes, irrespective of those with mature cataracts. We managed to get through almost about 80% or more at that time. Today we do much more. And for the opaque cataracts, we would use the ultrasonic axial length from the immersion scans and still get other measurements from the Lenstar. So it still improved our accuracy in a big way, which we continue to do today as well for some of those small percentage of advanced cataracts. And in 6 months, I think our results were dramatically better. Over 80% patients were within a half diopter of emetropia. Our toric numbers kept increasing, and we were doing many more multifocals. So this all can be attributed probably to the optical biometry, which is probably the first change that we saw. And I stopped doing biometry myself, which I used to be very meticulously doing till we got the Lenstar. Now we could have 3 good technicians and good repeatability. Opaque cataracts, we improved quite a bit as well because all our other measurements were more accurate, as I mentioned. And for patients with astigmatism, I think again a big jump. Lenstar keratometries were, even today I find are so good that we are very, very good with our toric results. And we were of course using 4 or 5 different devices, but the Lenstar remained the mainstay. We also did the virions and the other measurements. So the toric planner, I think we have to thank Dr. Barrett for that. The Barrett's toric calculator is fantastic, and on the Lenstar, this thing is so user-friendly to use the toric calculator the toric planner is amazing. And I think Barrett's toric calculator was a huge step forward on the Lenstar when we got it, and now of course it's available online and almost on all other devices as well. So you don't need to use the various company calculators anymore. And in 2014, thanks to Warren considering me for the beta testing site for the Hill RBF calculator, we started working with the Excel sheets. And initially we would get only on the Excel sheets, and then it came online, and we would use the Lenstar for our measurements and then go online and provide the data for the RBF. This is how it looked before we started using the RBF. There would be 3-4 different formulas, and even the Barrett's was not available at that time on the Lenstar. And then with the RBF, we started noticing that it would match the SRKT and Barrett's in most cases. It was very much more reliable in the long eyes, and we started studying patients with disparity between the formulas more closely. And most often our results would show that Hill RBF and Barrett's would come out as very, very accurate and pretty consistent. And so of course the online RBF calculator was nice, and the out of bounds function was very helpful, and today it continues to help us. In somewhere in 16-17, the Hill RBF got integrated into the Lenstar, which again was a big convenience because till then we would just sit online and keep working on that. Now the staff found it so easy to just get the Hill RBF out, and we stopped using most of the other formulas except the RBF and the Barrett's universal, and this would give us special printouts. And Now, somewhere last year, the Hill RBF-2, this is what we've studied with for most of our patients recently. I think the Hill RBF-2 has really increased the database, which has made it so much more robust and well tested. It dramatically increases the range of patients that you can measure for calculate from 40 diopters to a -5, from an axial length of about 17 or 18 mm to 35, I think. And we have now 12,400 plus eyes in the database, and especially for almost 1,000 eyes with the short axial length, which makes it really robust for these short eyes. And there are much fewer out-of-bounds eyes now as compared to what we were using before. This makes it very, very useful as well. And it's now possible to aim for different residual refractive errors than a 0 or the emmetropia. So you can plan a small change in refractive error if you're looking for one. So also it got integrated with the Abulafia Koch Toric calculator on the machine. The Lenstar got an upgrade on the software as well. It started showing us these warnings, which really helps us because it quickly stands out. So this makes it very much easy for the assistants. And also if you see the printout, you can quickly see if there are any potential errors. So you can be more careful. And for our, especially for our astigmatism patients, I think this calculator was very useful. We do by default for all patients, even with 0.5 cylinders, we do the toric calculation across the board. We use, just like Dr. Barrett said, most of his cases are toric. We have a big jump in our toric numbers. And now the most useful thing which I would like to highlight today is probably this feature of the Hill RBF, which stands out for this way of measuring IOLs, is the out-of-bounds feature. It quickly tells you if your measurements and your calculation is in bounds, and it would tell you if some of the parameters are beyond the range of the Hill RBF, which are very few now, but it stands out because it will immediately tell you it's out of bounds. Now, I don't think any other formula really does this. It tells you when the formula is not to be used, when it's not going to be accurate, and these are usually those eyes where you'll get a refractive surprise, as I'll just show you. We have unpublished data which is likely to be in publication soon of 250 eyes, a single surgeon using the Technis 1 lens, and this range of axial length and keratometries, and astigmatism less than 1. We were using the Lenstar. We have about 21 eyes in the short axial length group, 153 eyes in the 22 to 25 millimeters, and the more than 25 is at 76, so about 250 eyes. Now, we had patients where there was no acceptance, which means they were less than a 0.25. Just 37.6 in the short eyes percentage, and 48.3% in the 22 to 25 group, and 46 here. Now, if you look at the plus minus half, we have about 83% in the short eyes, about 90% in the eyes which are 22 to 25, and 85.7 here. And now plus minus 1 is about 95 for the short eyes, 99 for the 22 to 25. These are pretty consistent with what we would see with the other good formulas today. So this was probably our data, which is slightly different from what some of the other studies have shown. So for the shorter eyes, we have refractive surprises over 1 diopter in about 4.7% eyes, just about 1.1% in the 22 to 25, and in the more than 25 group, the longer eyes, 2.3. Now this, I think, pretty much matches up to what we see with the Barrett's calculator today. But we did notice that for the shorter eyes, probably a small, maybe it was not statistically significant, but the Hill RBF stood out as maybe getting slightly better readings than the Barrett's, whereas in the longer eyes, the Barrett's was much better. They seem to be pretty similar in the eyes from the 22 to the 25. Now, I think we then had about 11 eyes during the time of the study which were out of bounds and were not included in the study. So we went out and studied those eyes which came in the out of bounds group. And there the Barrett's or the SRKT was used for the IOL selection. We had about 8 eyes, which is about 72%, came up within the plus minus half. And we had 9 eyes within the plus minus 1. So we had 2 eyes which had a refractive surprise, which is quite significant. So what we understand is that if a eye is marked as out of bounds by the Hill RBF, I think it's really important to go back and work harder on the calculations and make sure that you're accurate, because these are the eyes where you're likely to get a surprise even with the other formulas. And I think it's a very big feature that probably we don't pay attention to as much as we should. And so for us, to conclude how it changed our practice, almost 90% patients are now plus minus half, which is probably the standard of care today. I think out of bounds for us is very useful, as I already mentioned, to identify the potential surprises. We are doing more torics and multifocals than ever before, partly because better lenses are available, better understanding, better toric calculators with the posterior corneal astigmatism, as Dr. Barrett has helped us come through with. We now have about 34% of our practice is torics and about 27% is multifocals and growing. I think our staff has much more confidence when they counsel patients for premium IOLs. And we get more referrals for now high refractive errors from practices where they don't have options of optical biometry or using the modern formulas. We still have in India penetration of optical biometry is not as good as it is maybe in the West. So I think it has really helped us change our practice and put together the optical biometry, the Hill RBF, the Barretts, all have contributed for us to get better and better results. And I think we should be looking more closely at those out of bound eyes. Thank you.